Hello and welcome to Procrastination Station. Procrastination as in procrastinating and that other thing that we all do. If you can put it together, then you're my people, and if you can't, perhaps click that next button. No shade. I'm your host, Hannah, and I'm here to talk about self-sabotage in a way that invites all parts of us to come along for the journey. I'm here to lay out the setbacks and superpowers of self-sabotage in order to manage our limitations. Throughout the show, we'll discuss designing a life that works in your favor through sustainable creative practices. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you enjoyed today's topic. Hello and welcome. I have something so special for you guys today. I have my friend here, Gunawan. We met through a mentorship program. He was a fellow mentor working with some cohorts. Very wonderful to be able to have him on this podcast today. We're going to be talking about you versus yourself. So we're talking lots about self-development, about work-life balance. Gunawan has a really interesting perspective that there's no such thing as work-life balance. We're going to be talking about our self-talk. I would really just love to give Gunawan a moment here to introduce himself, introduce his business, anything he'd like to say to get us started. Take it away.
Okay, thank you so much, Anna. This is my honor to be your guest in your podcast. My name is Gunawan Wijaya. Gunawan means useful man in Indonesia. So hopefully this podcast will be useful for everyone who hear this. Okay, my journey is like a roller coaster in Canada was Wonderland. It's like I finished my psychology bachelor degree, and after that, I work at United Nations Global Compact. And at that time, my boss never give me a work-life balance. If I recall that. Why? Because my boss always like come to the office at 6 p.m. Everybody already went home, but I'm still there waiting for him, meet with him, and then doing the job. Actually, I always come like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., but he just came at 6 p.m. But I learned a lot from him. And I love so much that job. And after that, almost 4 years, I built my business, Pure Training and Consulting. This business is giving a soft skills training for everyone, especially for corporate training, for employee in the corporate. That's why I love this topic about work-life balance. From more than 10 years, I meet people from the corporate. I don't think there is a work-life balance in every person in office. Especially when we are talking about the entrepreneurs, oh no, there is no work-life balance. There's no balance. One thing, if we are talking about balance, I'm always remember about, if I'm not wrong, there is Einstein. Einstein have stated that if you want to keep balance, keep moving. It's like a bicycle. Uh,
Yeah.
to yeah, two
If you
wheels.
stop pedaling with one foot, you topple over.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah.
so life must go on. You have to keep moving to keep your life balance.
I love that so much. That's an amazing perspective. So, with respect to work-life balance, what advice can you give someone looking to achieve work-life balance? Because I feel as entrepreneurs, especially, a lot of the time we take on these ventures to create that space for ourselves where we can feel balanced, where we feel appreciated in our industry. Like, there's so many different reasons why many people pick entrepreneurship, but I feel like a really big reason is freedom of time.
Yeah. And
Right?
after you jump to the entrepreneur, oh, there is no free time. What can I say? Working at the office, I have been there, and now I'm an entrepreneur. And today I'm an international student also. Oh, I jump to any area of this life. And let's talk about the entrepreneurs first. When I become an entrepreneur, I didn't have a customer, so I have to go door to door to knock every customer's door and then asking to them to meet with me because there is no social media before, and then I don't have their number. I cannot make an appointment. Sometimes the security reject me, and sometimes they welcome me, but they asking me like, are you a boss of this company and you're coming by yourself, something like that. But yeah, we cannot sleep because we try to create the proposal, we try to create the good presentation, prepare everything, jump to the business networking, find someone in the bus, talk with them and everything. Hopefully they will be our marketer and everything. So I think work-life balance is not a goal. That's the one thing. Work-life balance is not a goal. And don't make work-life balance like the most important thing in your life, because balance in our life, in our mind, it's like 50-50. And there is no 50-50 in our life.
Right.
Sometimes we're asking our company like, okay, I will working with you. Do you give me a 12 holidays in a year? Because I have worked in 12 months in a year. So no, it's not like that. It's
Mhm.
some things like imagination of the people, like work-life balance. Oh, I can work in a pool, I can work in the from the mountain, from the beauty forest and everything. Could you have asking them how do they get there? I believe they go through the not balance before. Like
Right.
they give
Right.
their effort, they sacrifice their time. Sometimes they sacrifice family time and everything. So
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan and I'm not believe of work-life balance.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that there's two ways to sort of achieve this idea of work life balance. So, and bear with me with this. So, be busy now so that you can be restful later, or take baby steps now so that you can sustain that energy for longer. So, you were just talking about how work life balance, the goal can be to reach like a 50% life, 50% work, and that's completely unattainable. I absolutely agree with you on that. I think that maybe instead of like, I want my life to be 50%, 50%, we can kind of zoom out a little bit and say, like, maybe it can balance out to 50-50. Sometimes I'm at 70-30 on 70% work, 30% life. Other times I'm 100% work, and other times I'm 100% life. You kind of do this in life, and like you're shuffling around, you're juggling priorities, like you have a lot of different things that ask your attention of you, and you have to be able to shift your attention at a moment. So if you just take time to do nothing sometimes, and like maybe at those moments, I know for myself, when I am doing nothing, I'm like, oh my god, I feel like crap about myself, like I'm not busy enough, I should be productive, like all these things. But then sometimes I have a busy period and I'm like, boom boom boom, getting all those tasks out of the way, and there's no lag period or anything like that. So that tells me that those times when I am doing actually nothing, it really, really helps me when I'm doing too much. The work life balance, in my eyes, is not necessarily about making sure that every single day is balanced, every single day is perfect, every
Yeah.
single day has this 50-50 split. But if the grand scheme total has this 50-50 split, that's ideal. So if you look at these entrepreneurs where they hustle to the ground before, now they can work on a beach, and now they can be like a digital nomad and everything like that. They did make this huge sacrifice to be able to experience this freedom of time. That's definitely my goal. Like, I want to be working from anywhere in the world. I want to be able to have the type of schedule where, like, maybe I'm not balanced all of the time, but let's say somebody in my family is having a birthday, somebody in my family is getting married, I don't know, like, I want to be able to be there for that kind of stuff. I want to be able to just be like, bye work. And that is the key for entrepreneurship for me, is that I can just turn it off when I want to. If I'm having a bad mental health day, business is closed, guys. That doesn't happen when you work in a corporate job. So for me, the sacrifice of working 24/7 every single day is worth it, because I get to turn it off on the days that really, really matter to me.
Agree.
Um,
It's worth it. 24 hours a day. Worth it. And sometimes we are asking like, where is my time? Oh no, it's gone.
it's not worth it for everybody
Yeah.
to have this lifestyle. Like, you really do, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to think about the commitment involved, because you don't want to
Yeah.
invest your time, your money, your energy towards something and then realize the commitment is too big, because it is a big commitment. The way that I see growing a business is kind of like nurturing a child. Like, they are needy. They
Yes.
are needy and they don't know anything, and you have to be the one to guide them and have all of the answers, and you can't really do that if you're not attentive, if you're not committed, if you kind of have this goal in your mind the whole time of like, I'm only doing this so I can be free from it. I don't know if that's really conducive to work-life balance.
I would like to emphasize your comments. I love the two words from you. Like the first one is sustain. We have to thinking about the sustain. Work-life balance is not only a day and then tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and then day by day, but it's a sustainability. It's like a sustain the long term. That's the most important thing. That's why I changed work-life balance into harmonize the work and life. So
Yeah.
sometimes for the sustain of your life, for the sustain of your work, you have to know when you will be work more overtime. Sometimes you cannot ask, sometimes you push yourself to work overtime. That's okay. That's okay. You cannot say like, oh, they didn't pay me because they don't pay me for my overtime. No, no, no. You learn something. It's gain something in your growth, in your muscle of mind, muscle of mentality, and everything.
Mhm.
Because some nowadays I looks like people always thinking like, oh, I this is for my mental health, I need take a rest, I need take a rest. But sometimes it's not for all the people. Sometimes when I have a deep talk with them, I figure it out that no, it's just lazy. Everyone is lazy. No, I'm a little lazy person as well. But yeah,
No judgment towards lazy. I am very team lazy. It is okay to be lazy.
yeah, yeah.
But
That's why.
excuse
That's why. And the second one is productive. Wow, I love this word. Productive. Productive is different, totally different with the busy. When we
yes.
keep our life busy, when we are thinking like, okay, I do this, I do this, I do this. What's the outcome? Is it worth it or not? So it can define the productive or not. So
Yeah.
don't just make your life busy, but keep it productive, because work-life balance is talking about the productivity. It's not about the busyness. That's
Mhm.
the most important thing. And well, thank you for that two comments. And if I can conclude of your comments, is about priority, right?
Yes.
It's about priority, because for Hannah, work-life balance is different with Gunawan's work-life balance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely is.
yeah,
Absolutely is. And we have different priorities, different upbringings, and like that all adds up to what that person might need. Oh my gosh, you said so many great things. I really love the word harmonize over balance because I think discussing this topic of work life balance, I know that's something that I have always strived for. And then this is really why I wanted to have this conversation with you because when you said you don't believe in work life balance, I was just like, wow, that is interesting. I want to talk about this more. It's not so much that you don't believe in work life balance at all, it's more about the way that we talk about it, the way that we look at it. And to
yes.
change the word to be more of like a harmony rather than a balance where
Mhm.
they work together, they don't work against each other, and we're not expecting them to be like a cut down the middle balance. Like that's just such a better word to describe what it is that we're looking for. So thank you for giving me that language.
You're most welcome. And I believe the spirit of work-life balance for the first time is when the work and the life interfere each other.
Yeah.
When they are not interfere each other, it's still balanced. It's still okay. It's still harmonized. But when the work and the life interfere each other, when you work and then you forgot your birthday daughter, and you forgot to come to what else? Your parents because they are sick. That's something wrong.
Yeah.
That's not balanced. That's interfere each other. And of course, when your life you have a baby and then you cannot work well, that's interfere your work. That's not balanced. So yeah, harmonize. Like you have to know your prioritize and commit with what you want to do.
Yeah.
Commit for your goal. Wow, that's great.
Something else that you were talking about with productivity, and I think that that is also a really great point that you made because this is something that I say quite often, like get rid of your busy work. Like there's a lot of work I think that we can do as entrepreneurs and as people where like it doesn't really matter. For example, on social media, you might be making a post for your business or something like that and like you need to make these posts like almost every day. Like it's a lot of work to keep up with social media. So when you sit there and you're like every single one needs to be perfect. It's such busy work and it really doesn't matter and like how many people are really going to see your typo if you have one, which is why for me when I'm making my content, I come up with an idea, I draft it out on Canva, I write a quick caption and I post it. Like I don't tweak it. I don't go over it. And I used to focus on making them perfect until I realized like, dude, you're spending way too much time on this. This should take you 2 hours to make your month's worth of content. After realizing that there's certain priorities that you want in this line of work and like there's other ones that just waste your time and they just like drain your energy. After realizing that there's certain tasks that can actually move your business forward rather than just hold you back, makes you want to get rid of any single task that might be holding you back.
Agree. And talking about wow, this topic is so really interesting. And talking about the perfection, progress over perfect.
Yes.
Yes, because practice doesn't make you perfect.
Nope.
Sometimes, yeah, people always talking like practice because practice makes perfect. No, practice doesn't make you perfect because nobody perfect in this world. Practice makes progress. When you have the progress, then you practice. And how to progress yourself, like you have to beat yourself, your future of yourself. That's the most important thing, your first statement in this podcast. We try to conquer ourselves.
Absolutely. We're always trying to conquer ourselves. We're always our biggest critic, our biggest saboteur. We're always here to push ourselves, and that is such an amazing quality as people, that we can propel ourselves without any external influences. But then it also brings to mind that like rest is important too. The next question within this section: how does societal pressure shape the way that we juggle our responsibilities? We may have covered this already, but if we can say a little bit more on the matter, I would love to.
Okay, societal pressure. Yeah, I think it because of the new era, the technology era. So social pressure become more concern from nowadays
Right.
for everyone, not only for the young people, not only for the teenager, of course for us as well. Like for the businessmen, sometimes we are looking at the other Instagram, the other Facebook page. Wow, they go to this country, they get this project and etc, but they don't know if the people give the free things. We never know. Right? Social pressure is like something outside from us, but sometimes if we don't know our why, if we don't know our value, our mission in this world, we always looking that kind of social happens, it becomes our pressure. I like the question is shape the way we juggle our responsibilities,
Yeah.
because sometimes people forget about their responsibilities. How to know about our responsibilities? The first one is we have to know our role in this world. That gifted the role that we choose it. There is two kinds of role. I chose become a father. I chose become a husband. I chose become a student. But I cannot choose become a son of my mother. I cannot choose become a brother of my elder and of my younger brother. I cannot choose that. Every its role have their own responsibilities, and the major person is the one who fulfill the responsibility of their role in this world.
Yeah, I have so many things to say to you, but
Yeah.
something that just came to mind after what you just said was I saw an Instagram reel the other day. If I can remember the creator, I'll credit her, but I don't remember, so it's okay. I saw this creator who was talking about the difference between choices and decisions.
Yes.
How you make a choice every single day, like, I'm gonna try this new flavor of pie. I'm gonna try this like zucchini pie. And then you taste it and you're like, this is really gross. And then you decide that this is not for you. And then in future you make your decisions based on your experience rather than making choices just willy-nilly and then taking the energy it takes to make a decision into every single choice. That's just a mini ramble on indecisiveness, and I hope it makes sense. So like bringing your decision making into every choice is like when you're at the restaurant and you're trying to figure out what you need to eat. It doesn't matter what you eat. Like you just need to make a choice. You don't have to even like it. You just have to make a choice. And then afterwards you can decide, do I like it? Do I like being the son of my mother? Do I like being a husband? Do I like my daughter? I hope you do. But you don't choose these things, but you do decide how you show up within these containers. It kind of brings back a whole long tangent to actually relate to the topic, is that when we are given this container within life to fill this space, we decide how we fill that space. Maybe we don't choose the container that we're given, but we decide how we can show up for that container. As we grow, as we evolve, we can maybe, like a hermit crab, upgrade our container, but life gives us things that we have to deal with. So I feel that to answer the question, how does societal pressure influence the way we juggle responsibility? Societal pressure shows us the containers that we want to fit in. It shows us the spaces that we want to belong in. And sometimes that means that we have to augment our personality to get there. Sometimes that means we have to overcome mindset pieces to see my container is just the same size as theirs. It's more the way that I look at it. I think a lot of the time, like this can come down to jealousy. And what jealousy does, at least in my eyes, is it shows us what we want. It shows us a life that we wish we could have. And there's nothing wrong with that feeling. That is such a human emotion to have. But when it stops you from taking action towards the things that you are actually meant for, then that's where the societal pressure kind of becomes a problem, when it makes you feel like so much pressure that you're in decision paralysis.
I totally agree that when we cannot decide what we want, we can decide how we finish it. We cannot decide, oh, I want to eat spaghetti, but in front of me just a potato. Okay, let's decide how to eat this potato. I can eat with the complaint heart, or I can eat with the grateful heart.
Yeah, and some butter.
Yeah.
love that so much. This actually moves us really, really, really great into our next topic of why versus how. So this is a little bit of a debate topic. So Gunawan really believes in the value of knowing your why. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with knowing your why. I truly believe knowing your why is an excellent mechanism for motivation, for dedication, for propelling yourself throughout life. However, my belief is after you know your why, you ask yourself more consistently how. I know why I want this. I know what I want. I know all of these things, but how am I actually going to get there? That's my point of view. The main thing that I would really love to discuss within this topic is what is the difference between why and how? Why is knowing your why valuable, and how can we translate that into how we can help other people? I can repeat any of that if that was long.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I have a training model. The topic is find your why and create your way. The first thing, why, when we know the why, it can be the motivation in our life. I remember two benefits when we know our why. The first one is we can decrease our jealousy when we know our why. Okay, this is my way, this is my life, I know why I do this, I know why it happens to me, then no problem with the others. They can have a Lamborghini, I have a Corolla. They can have Apple, I just only have smartphone and anything. But that's no problem when you know your why. Decrease the jealousy. The next one is motivation. There is a quote that states, let me read it. Once you know your why, you can survive almost anyhow.
Yes, I know
Yeah,
that very well.
we have to remember find our why is there is no formula and it takes a long lifetime. We always asking why in the middle of our life, like quarter life crisis, or like when we in the intersection of our life, we can always asking why. How to find our why? The first one is asking your creator. He's the only one knows our why in this world, but we have to know, we have to believe that only you, Hannah, only me, Gunawan, we have different mission, we have different purpose that only you can accomplish that mission. Only
Yeah.
you can accomplish that purpose. Nobody else. That's why we have to build our relationship with our creators. I call it God. So yeah,
Yeah, whatever
just
you call it too. It could be
yeah,
nature, it could be your higher self, it could
yes,
be God, it could be Buddha, it could be literally anybody, anything you see in your mind that represents your higher self or like the external powers that be. I'm a
yes.
very, very big believer in spirituality and the way that that can help you develop your mindset and help you heal. You made some really, really great points.
Your questions, the context is like how to give the impact to people, to the customers, right?
Yeah, you have such a good memory for my questions.
And back to that question, we cannot ever never live alone because
Yeah.
from we were born until we will die, we need someone. That's
Mhm.
why we called like social being. Social human is a social being, right?
Of course.
That's why we have to give an impact, not an impact. We have to give impacts to others, like what we did, what we do, why we live here, why you're coming to Canada, what you can do for the people around you. That's the most important things as well. When you know your why, I believe your why can direct you to somebody else, can direct you to the community that you can give impact, give a color, give a taste to that community. And that's the good thing to wake you up. Hey, you are not live only for your life. Work life balance is not only talking about your ego, it's talking about the others, talking about your family, talking about your friendship, talking about your workmate, your classmate, and everyone.
And also the karma behind like helping a
Yeah.
random stranger on the street. And like I'm a really big believer in karma, of what goes around comes around. And I try not to focus too much on karma. I focus on my karma, but I don't like to focus on other people's karma. Something that is really interesting to me after hearing you say all of this, I do believe that your why is like one of the most important questions that you can ask in your life. And there are certain people on this life that don't know their why, and that is very sad. On a side note, it's not so much that it's sad, but rather their journey to figure out their why and my journey to figure out my how. However, for myself, I have always been motivated. I grew up very religious. I'm very spiritual now. I'm not necessarily religious now, but I went to church every single week, multiple times. Like, not even kidding. We went to church like 2 or 3 times a week when I was a kid. That's kind of a random tidbit of information, but that really led me to know my why, my purpose at a very, very young age. I've always said, I'm going to be a millionaire when I grow up. Like, I've always known I'm here to be successful. I'm here to do things. I'm here to get going. It's just never really been a challenge for me personally to find motivation. Well, I shouldn't say never been a challenge. Like, I do struggle to find motivation sometimes, but it's a very short-lived thing. I'm an ambitious person. I have drive, and even if I lose touch with it sometimes, that's just part of who I am. I just always come back to it. Tangent aside, the thing for me has been, okay, you know your why you're here. You know you want to be successful, you know that you want to help people, you know your why, all of the things. Now, how are you actually going to get there? Like, what are you actually going to do to make all of these things happen? I do agree with the quote that you mentioned at the beginning of this topic of knowing your why allows you to conquer any how.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that quote because I knew my why before I started asking my how. I think that it is important to know your why. I think that sometimes we don't really ask ourselves how or want to present to people how. Like, maybe sometimes it just doesn't make sense, or maybe sometimes it's one of those things where it only lives in your head. So trying to tell somebody how, it's kind of like, I don't actually fully know yet. It just kind of has to come about when it does. And on a side note, this relies on the belief system that with hope and faith that my why is strong enough, how will present itself naturally, and it all has to unfold on its own. There's nothing wrong with this belief system, but I wonder if relying on why alone can be enabling towards not taking action. To me, why is motivation, which is great, and how is action, which is also great. Knowing your why allows you to put yourself in these situations to guide you towards the networking events that are going to lead to your success, to guide you towards that actual success. But I just find that topic of why versus how to be a very interesting conversation. The way that I see it is that why comes first and then how is what you ask all the time afterwards. Would you agree with that?
Totally agree. Totally agree. Because you remind me for 3 A's in our module. The first A is aware. We have to aware about ourselves, about our why. We have to aware about our goal. We created goal settings and everything. The second one is accept. This is the hardest one. Sometimes people cannot accept their life. They cannot accept their situation and they jump to the last A, adapt. This is how. When people come to your podcast, when they are looking in Google, maybe they always like typing how to be success person, how to finish the college, how to be a rich person. But are they asking why they have to be a rich person? Why
Yeah,
they have to be a success? No, right? They
that's
jump to how, but they forget about the why. Aware first about ourselves, where we are now, our strength, our weakness, and everything. Then accept first, because sometimes we deny. We deny. We have to accept our family, our situation. Okay, now our economic situation, our family situation, our life situation. Accept it. Then you will find how. After you aware, then you accept. Then you can adapt your life. Find the how to conquer yourself, to finish your life well in this world.
Yeah, I really love that. I think that finding a way to accept your circumstance exactly the way that it is,
Mm,
without any changes,
yes,
really allows you like, it's such an interesting concept because accepting it, allowing it into your heart allows you to let it go.
yes,
Which is like, it seems contradictory because people have resistance. They wanna be like, "No, this is not for me. I'm pushing this away from myself. I
yeah,
don't accept this as mine." But then, like, I think most people know, a lot of people know when you have resistance, when you tell the universe, "No, no," it gives you more of it because it's like, you haven't learned your lessons yet.
yes,
Finding a way to accept and before you take the action towards adapting, I also really love what you said about adapting. Finding a way to accept first. It allows you to adapt in a way that's actually conducive to your heart. Because if you just go out there and you're like, how do I become a millionaire? How do I become rich and famous? How do I do all these things? And then you realize after all of those things
how,
that I wanted to live on a homestead in a secluded forest on a ranch and I wanted nobody to know who I was.
yeah,
I wanted to be with my family and I did not care about the public. That would really, really suck if you got famous and then realized that. That would be terrible. Asking yourself why and asking yourself, it helps you inform your decisions and it helps you to get that how in a way that is actually in alignment with you. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because both questions are important. I think knowing your why is so important. That's step 1.
Yes.
And then knowing your how, that's also important. That's step 2. Doesn't mean
Mhm.
it's less important, but it means that it's on a side note. 2 questions. How am I going to get there and how does this priority relate back to my why? They complement each other. Knowing your why is a prerequisite to
Yes.
knowing your how, and you kind of need to self-assess to understand where you're at. And I don't know, maybe people think that they know their why when they actually don't. Maybe people have their why when they don't think that they do. You just need that like self-awareness
Yes.
to be able to get that clarity.
Agree. Agree. Totally agree. Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
have anything else to say on this topic before we move on to the next section?
I think when we put this into the business things, why and how, sometimes we are busy to looking for how to get the sales, how to get the people, how to get customers, but we never ask why they have to buy my service, why
Yes.
they have to meet me, why they have to takes time to listen to me. That's
Mhm.
the most important things. We create the word fun. Fun stand for find your needs. Find your customer needs. That's the why. Find the why first, then the rest will be okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a really great point to make. I think I went on a whole bunch of tangents and never actually addressed the second part of my question, which was how does that affect our customers? And I think that you are absolutely right. Something that I tell people all the time in business is like, especially with social media, especially with sales, when you're talking to somebody and telling them your brand story, you are essentially telling them why they should care about your product and telling them why should you care? Why should you buy this thing? You're essentially telling them, what does this do for you? And
But
like by doing that, it makes them like, oh, okay, like I see how this fits into my life. I see how I could, make this work for me. And it makes them more likely to want to buy from you. But if you're like, oh my gosh, I have this water bottle and it's, just a plain old water bottle and you give no background detail, they're going to be okay, whatever. Have a nice day. They're just gonna move on. It's not gonna impact them in any way. I think that that's a really good word you used. I think it was a while ago in the episode, but I think impact is a very strong word to use, a very impactful word, if you will.
yeah,
Because that's what you're doing when you have your why is you're impacting your environment by saying, like, not only do I want this, but I want this because like you have that extra push behind it. And then I think that knowing your why also can help you serve your customers in a way that is more aligned as well with both of you. On a side note, to sum up our debate on why versus how, we're referring to the why being the overall theme throughout life, and we use it to inform our decisions as we determine how over a long-term, ever-evolving process. Let's get back to it. But anyway, moving on to
that's
our
good.
last topic of the day, which is on self-talk. This is a great topic. So, how can we be positive without being toxically positive?
Yeah. Let's discuss first about toxic positivity. What do you think, Hannah? What is toxic
Oh,
positivity mean?
I know some toxic positives in my life. I've met them and they are not fun. They are the good vibes only type of person. On a side note, they're the type to invalidate your feelings in order to keep the peace. But anyway, carry on. That means that they don't want to hear your Debbie Downer talk. They don't want to hear you less than positive. To me,
Oh,
that is toxic positive. Good vibes only. There's definitely more to it than that. I think that it could also be somebody who like it's the way that they listen to you. It's the way that they communicate with you when you are having, let's say, a negative moment. I think that our moments in life, they're neither positive nor negative, but a toxic positive might have this very clear, like black, white, positive is good, negative is bad kind of view.
yeah.
When for me, I like to think of it more as they're both life, like the yin yang sign. There's good and the bad, there's bad and the good. It's always just both, and it always is just what it is. We don't need to label things. But anyway, yes, toxic positive. That's my loose definition. Is yours similar or different?
It's similar. It's similar. I always thinking like people around me look me as a positive person, but I ask feedback from them. Am I a toxic positivity for you or not? Because like I always try to train my mind to look positive in everything, in
Yeah.
every moment in this life, and that makes me life until now. I mean, like okay, now I understand toxic positivity happens when the empathy is absence,
Yes.
when you don't want to listen anything about negative things,
Yes.
and you always only choose the positive, and you can do it, it's okay, no problem, calm down, and then they're gone. They don't want to listen you, and that's become toxic positivity. Oh
Yeah.
no, okay, I got it now. All right,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
would say, Gunawan, I know for a fact that you're so positive. I always see this bright smile on your face. And I would say that in your context, that does not make you a toxic positive. It just makes you a positive person. And that's something to be proud of. That's something that's wonderful. It's a strength to be able to walk through this ugly, dark, negative life and to be able to find positivity in everything. I think that's so beautiful. The main difference in my eyes is a toxic positive will shut down any negative conversations. I know that I'm pretty confident that if I said, you know what, Gunawan, this conversation, you would probably be very receptive to that. You'd be like, okay, whatever, and you would just like you would be there for my concerns, right? So I
Yeah,
think that that's the difference for me in a toxic positive versus just a positive.
yeah, yeah, get it, because yeah, it's like what comes out depends on what comes in. That's the
Yes.
self-talk means. When you eat the positive things, when you eat the healthy things, when it doesn't mean you eat only the food, but eat the real,
Consume as
eat the
well, like
boss, yeah,
consuming
eat,
music, consuming content.
yeah, listen the music, yes, read the news and everything.
Yeah.
It something happen in your mind. Is nutrition for your mind or not? When you always looking the reels, the advertising, the negative things, the complaint and everything, then every time we look something, we will not say something. When we look something, we will look from the negative side first. This is the different things, and it's not healthy. Why it's not healthy? Because sometimes we cannot be a grateful person. We have no gratitude, we have low energy level, and
Mhm.
sometimes self-talk is like we put the seed and this seed will grow. So when you put the bad seed, you put the negative seed, it will be grow and there is no fruit in your life.
Mhm.
That's the most important thing. When we put the self-talk, positive self-talk, and I always train myself in the morning. That is the best moment when we wake up. What
Mhm.
is the first time you look? What is the first word come out from your mouth? When you waking up late, is this shit or F words come out from your mouth, or like, oh no, okay, it's blessing now. I'm late. Now I can take a deep breath. Now, okay, I have to focus and everything. That's the best moment is in the morning when you wake up.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hannah? Yeah.
I totally agree, and I am such a bear in the morning, so I could definitely practice what you're saying a lot more. I'm so grumpy. Finding a way to be able to shift my mind away from that grumpiness and honestly not get hard on myself for being grumpy in the
Yeah,
morning. It's okay to be grumpy in the morning, but
it's
trying to
okay.
also find what is the blessing this morning? What is the thing that I can be grateful for this morning? And like maybe it could be as simple as like, well, at least I woke up today. But
Yeah, I'm still woke up today. Agree.
starting off small, it's like you said, it's like planting seeds. And then, like, the next morning, I'm like, okay, well, I'm happy I woke up today. And then the third morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so grateful to be alive today. And
Yes.
it builds and it grows. And then eventually you wake up and you realize mornings are beautiful. I'm a morning person now. Like, that's the goal. I wish I could get there one day. Um, I think that like finding one little positive in your negative moments is a really good way to not get carried away with them. Sometimes I find when a negative moment happens, I find it challenging to find the positive right away. Sometimes it's like you're standing up against a wall that's only as big as your face.
Yeah.
So it's like I have this problem and it's huge and it's like the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But then eventually I get a little bit of time from the circumstance and I get a little bit of like mental space and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see now how that is actually something that that served me, that made it so that I was more successful, or made it so that I was more happy, or I had more fruit in my life,
Yeah.
even if at the moment it looked like it was a pest trying to eat all my fruit. Did we cover the full question? How can we be positive without being toxically positive? What's the line between those two things? Did you answer that?
Not yet. My answer
That's
is one word: sincerity.
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 I love
Sincerity is
that
is the action. There is a quote that action speaks louder than words, right? So
Yeah.
sincerity, like you said, you can feel from my expression, from my gesture. That's called sincerity. That's not about I make like, oh, it's because of Hannah record me, then I have to do something. No, no, it's not like that.
On
Just
my happy face.
yeah, no, no.
He was this happy every Saturday morning at like 9 a.m. for our group meetings, and I'm sitting there like still in my jammies, still trying to wake up, like sleep in my eye, and I'm like, how is this man a ray of sunshine first thing in the morning?
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right.
But anyway, I know that it's not a facade just for this interview.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said sincerity is the most important things to be a positive, but not toxic positive.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would absolutely agree with that. I think that your positivity is very sincere. I think that
Okay.
it's like a very sincere quality to be looking for the bright side in everything. And people need that. Sometimes people get stuck in their gray cloud blinders where they're like, everything is gray, everything is just terrible. So having somebody in their life that can be like, no, dude, sometimes it's a blessing. Like that's very, very valuable. So I hope that the people in your life cherish you for that. I do have one more question here. How do we mitigate negative self talk and imposter syndrome? This is
Ah,
a good question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the hard topic. This is the hard section because when you push yourself a lot, when you go through your life hard, sometimes you cannot believe yourself. This imposter syndrome is connect with the confidence level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone knows that you are great at these things, but you are not believe yourself. You're always thinking like, am I deserve this? Am I a good this? And when I win the competition, am I deserve this prize or not? And everything. Imposter syndrome is not only about the bad self-talk. It's about your confidence level. It's about the appreciation from society.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when people around you give you positive things, give you appreciation, give thanks to you, please accept that for the people who had imposter syndrome because no matter they are sincere or not, but accept that and keep that into your life that you are worthy, you are good enough to do your special things. And that's for the imposter syndrome.
So how does imposter syndrome and negative self-talk play together, or do you think that they're their own separate things?
The negative talk like support the imposter syndrome. So when
Yes.
you have the imposter syndrome, then you keep negative talk in your mind. It's feeding your imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Oh my so the imposter syndrome is like this huge beast.
Yes.
And the negative self-talk is like planting those little seeds that eventually grow into the
Yeah.
forest that is imposter syndrome.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That is so great. They are similar. They're almost like on the same same track,
Yeah.
but they're also different.
Yes.
It's really interesting that you talk about accepting like the nice things that people say to you or the nice things that people give to you. And this was something that I took very seriously in my life. I started saying yes to every single offer as long as I wanted it, obviously. On a side note, get your mind out of the gutter. Like if somebody's like, "Hey, can I buy you a coffee?" Normally I'd be like, "No, I don't want to put you out. That's too much money. I don't want to be a burden." Like I would go in this whole it's a girl thing. I know women are like this all the time. I was like very much so quick to turn down any offer of kindness. Like there's so many reasons behind it, not wanting to be a burden, not wanting to take this thing if I didn't feel that I deserved it. All of these things could be behind that. I decided one day I was like, why? If somebody is asking me if I want a coffee, if they're going to buy me a coffee, especially if at that moment I can't necessarily afford it, why would I say no? Like they're offering. I should say yes. So then I started to say yes. I started to accept this kindness that people would offer me. And two things happened. I started getting more kindness offered to me more frequently, which is just crazy to think about. Also, I started to actually believe I deserved it. I started to be like, okay, they're offering because they see something in me, because they want to help me, because they want to give me something nice. They're offering because they want to. Maybe that's not always sincere. Maybe sometimes they're just offering because they're like, oh, whatever. Ulterior motives, ultimate side eye. Realistically, if somebody is giving you something, even if their reasoning is not sincere, that doesn't mean that it won't still help you. Like, if you think about a homeless man taking money from a con man, like if the con man who took money from all these other people goes to the homeless man and he's like, here's $100, the homeless man doesn't care that this money came from like a sketchy place. He just cares that he has money now.
Yeah.
So if you're that person who's starving for kindness, who's starving for positivity in your life, and you look out to your network and then you shut down people who are being positive to you, it's going to keep you stuck in this negative space.
Okay.
It's going to keep you believing that the world is an ugly place. It's going to keep you believing in your imposter syndrome. Like, I feel like for me, the quickest way to step out of my imposter syndrome is to talk to somebody else. And not even necessarily about my imposter syndrome, but a lot of the times I can just have a conversation with somebody else and then I realize, like, okay, they don't hate me. Okay, I'm not an idiot. Okay, I can actually do this thing and what I say makes sense and what I sell makes sense. Talking to somebody else, it can really just put your own problems into perspective, even if you're not talking about those problems. I think that our self-talk is just so imperative to the way that we also talk to others. I think that, like, somebody who has a positive self-talk, who works on their self-talk, knows the difference in their heart between being positive and being a toxic positive, because they
Yeah.
speak to themselves positively and because they know this moment, maybe this level of positivity is necessary. And then in this moment, maybe they don't really need my positivity. They just need me to listen. You can use it as a scale because that's what you do on yourself. Yeah, I think that is so interesting.
That's the great sharing. People who have the imposter syndrome need this experience from you, need this sharing from you. Wow, please share about this, your experience live about the imposter syndrome. I totally agree with that. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for the sharing, Hannah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has really been a fantastic conversation. I am sorry to say, but we are coming close to the end of this conversation. I've really enjoyed having you on
Me
with
too.
me. Thank you so much. Is there
Thank you
anything
so
else
much.
that you would like to add before we wrap up today? Anything we didn't cover?
Wow, my battery life is like 5%. Okay.
You're very
I
close to it.
yeah, we are not covered. I think no, everything is covered. At the end, I love about the grow, the automatically grow, and the decision grow. The automatically grow is like biological things. We grow our hair. That is said grow old. For the second one is grow up. There is something that we can choose to grow. Then the grow up is like for our work-life balance, for our find our why, for the self-talk. That's the things can make us grow up.
I love that so much. That is such a good distinction between biologically growing and growing up. Like, I never thought of that, so I'm definitely going to be taking that away from this conversation. Before we wrap up, I would really love to ask, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Oh, in touch with me. They can follow my Instagram or my LinkedIn. My Instagram at gw.pure, Pure, and my LinkedIn is Gunawan Wijaya.
Amazing. I will link both of those in the description for anybody who would like to. I think that Gunawan is a lovely person to have in your network. Please reach out to him.
Yes.
I just want to say a final huge thank you to Gunawan for being here with me today, for being with us. I want to say thank you to my listeners for chiming in. I really appreciate everybody's time, and I hope that you found something that was useful within this episode. If you did, I would love to know. I also know that Gunawan would love to know. If you really loved anything that he said, please reach out to either one of us. Or even if you disagree, I want to know as well. Please let me know where you're at.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you so much for everyone who hear this. Hopefully this useful for you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
That's really it for me. Thank you so much, everybody. And that's all for now. Cheers. Thank you so much for being here with me. And if you enjoyed today's topic, now is a great moment to subscribe. If you have any feedback about today's topic, please reach out to my social channels. I help creative entrepreneurs market their creations in a way that feels authentic. I have a self-study marketing program that covers basic and advanced marketing concepts with 9 modules and activity sheets. I also sell content creation templates to help you manage your social media with unlimited content creation ideas. And I also offer one-on-one marketing consulting services. Check out my socials and my website to learn more. If you're interested in working with me, please reach out via email. So that's social media if you're reaching out for my podcast, and email if you're reaching out for business. All relevant contact links are in the description, and thanks again for listening. Cheers for now. That was pretty good.